So in volume 410 and 411 of Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun, we end up seeing that Iruma and the malicious phantom has finally reached the Demon King key. Using their disguises as Omri and Barbados, they were able to get in there and convince the leader of the defense force to pretty much drop the barrier and get them near the key. Once they ended up getting really close to the key, that's when you see Clara and her group take action. Clara ends up snatching the key and putting it in Toy Box, and throwing a random toy to pretty much distract everyone from where the key could actually be. So the malicious phantom, Iruma, and everyone's now fighting because there's a huge chaos going on. Asmodeus ends up grabbing Iruma, saying, "We got you, Master Iruma." And then all hell breaks loose. There's fighting here, there's fighting there, and they're just trying to figure out where the Demon Key went. Of course, using his bloodline ability Pit, the malicious phantom was able to pretty much figure out where the key is. He ends up rushing over to where the key is and notices that someone else has grabbed it before him. Jax, his little brother. So Jax is like, "Here you go." Ends up handing him the key, and they pretty much end up skedaddling it out of there. They use the ventilation system to pretty much crawl through this place and meet at a rendezvous point. The rendezvous point is where they're now going to enact their escape plan. Of course, this is the first time that Jax's brother has ever praised Jax for a heist, because the entire time up until this point, he's like, "You did a really good job, but you don't remember how we were planning on escaping? That's pretty crazy." But since I know you're a failure in these types of things, I went ahead and wrote it down for you. And he ended up giving Jax a piece of paper that pretty much detailed the escape plan. The plan basically was that they were going to use all the ventilation shafts that led to the main hallway to pretty much get to the exits of the building, because there are about 30 exits and 3 hidden exits in the building. Of course, they can always use Pit to find out a couple of ways out, but this was the most determined route during that time in which they were making the plan. Once Jazz receives this piece of paper, he ends up punching his older brother right in the fucking stomach and saying thank you. And this is when Jazz's older brother's like, "You know, you got really fucking strong all of a sudden. Are you even my brother?" But before answering, Jazz runs over to the comm and pretty much releases the entire information of their escape strategy all through the building to every member of the defense force. And that's when we realized the person who ended up punching Jazz's brother in his stomach was not Jazz himself. It was Azazel Armory using Transform to pretty much pretend to be Jazz and get in close. So now the malicious phantom has to deal with a one-on-one fight with Azazel Armory, the strongest person in the defense force and one of the uprising stars within the demon world. How do you think the malicious phantom is going to do? Because in my thoughts, he is a great escapist, but he is a horrible fighter.